So can Washington come up with a plan to raise the debt limit without burying the country in even more debt? Justin Sayfie is publisher of SayfieReview.com and a former spokesperson for the former Florida Governor Jeb Bush. Santita Jackson is a Fox News contributor and a radio talk show host. It's good to see you both. Happy New Year. And Justin, the president says there won't be any negotiating over the debt ceiling. It needs to be raised, period. What do you think?
I think that's remarkable. It's as if the election meant that to President Obama that he's been elected king. The Republicans just compromised on a very important principle. They didn't want to raise taxes. President Obama wanted to raise taxes. They compromised. Now President Obama is issuing a no compromise ultimatum to the American people, to the American Congress, which is the American people. 48% didn't vote for President Obama, and it's very disrespectful. He should try to bring Republicans together and show some leadership and agree that if the debt ceiling needs to be raised, the issue of spending has to be addressed.
Santita, no shortage of people, serious people, who have come out and talked about the damage that would be inflicted on our country were the debt ceiling to not be raised, and not only on our country, but the global economy as well. And yet, as far as political tactics goes, the president saying, I'm not going to debate this with anybody. Is that the right way for this president as he gets set to kick off term number 2 to engage his colleagues on the other side of the aisle?
Well, you certainly want the president to be open, and I think that he is open to hearing all sides. But this is the thing that really gets to me. I think that this is a shell game that is being played with the American people, and I do not like it, and I think that many Americans do not. This is really about austerity, American style. In this budget package, we already have more than $4 trillion that have been added to the federal deficit. So what are we really talking about here? In this budget deal, NASCAR gets some money. Corporate headquarters are going to be built. Hollywood gets some money. Now, if banks and businesses are too big to fail, then the American people should be too big to fail as well. And I think that that is a real question that needs to be answered here. We've raised the debt limit more than 90 times since 1944. This is standard operating procedure. Of course we need to deal with the debt, but we also need to deal with these runaway wars that Americans neither want, that are ill-defined, and that we cannot afford. So what are we going to do here?
Justin, is it smart politically for Republicans to even mention the possibility of not raising the debt ceiling when the consequences could be so great? I mean, even Newt Gingrich, the Wall Street Journal editorial board, all saying this is not smart for Republicans to be on the side of not going ahead and carrying through and following through on the obligations that our country has to pay its bills. What do you think about that politically for the Republicans?
Well, look, President Obama is an effective campaigner, no doubt about it, and he has the bully pulpit. So I think Republicans, though, have the principle on their side. And the principle is the American people don't want trillion-dollar deficits as far as the eye can see. They don't want to have $20 trillion of debt on our children and our grandchildren. And if the Republicans in Congress can structure the debate and frame the debate in terms of we're willing to raise the debt ceiling if the president will work with us to address spending cuts, I think that's a winning political argument for Republicans. I
think it's very interesting, and I'm wondering your take, both of you, and the fact that the way that this deal was constructed over the cliff, the debt ceiling and the sequestration are both going to happen at around the same time. And to me, that sets the stage, finally, I think, and this is the optimist in me, for a grand bargain, a big deal that takes care of both of those things. Am I naive, Santita, or can you imagine a scenario where this deal gets done, where our major fiscal issues get solved with one big bargain?
I feel like I'm talking to John Lennon. I want to imagine a perfect world, and I think that we can all win together. I think that you can protect the powerful, and you can also protect the weak, protect the people. I want to see that happen. Look, let's face facts. This $16 trillion debt that we have right now, we already rescued the banks to the tune of more than $16 trillion. I'm trying to find a way for us both to win together, and I think that there's a way for us to do that. But we have got to put these wars on the table. Somehow or another, we don't talk about Afghanistan. We're spending $1 million per soldier. We're spending $1 billion a week to be there. Why are we there? 100,000 soldiers to find 100 members of the Taliban? Really? Look, we have a social cliff that is accompanying this financial cliff. Down the street from my brother and my parents, someone broke down my brother's door 2 weeks ago, and then one of my parents' neighbors was held up in his driveway at gunpoint because the money has dried. Yeah, I mean, this is what we're living with from day to day. So I want us to take this conversation down from Washington and put it down to the people where it really is. And let's find a way for corporate America and the American citizen to win together.
Justin, to stay with John Lennon, are we just sitting here watching the wheels go round and round, or are lawmakers going to actually, no, I'm serious, are lawmakers going to get a big deal done that's going to help everybody out, that's going to lower our debt and our deficit and take care of our responsibilities for debts that we've already racked up?
Rick, in your question there, you mentioned the fact that these deadlines are going to all take place at the same time. I am hopeful. I'm not naive, but I'm hopeful that with the right leadership, that a grand bargain can be reached to address the size of government, to address spending, and to put the United States government on the proper fiscal path. That is possible, but I don't mean to sound partisan here, but there is one person in the whole country that has been elected the President of the United States, and it's going to take presidential leadership and issuing no compromise ultimatums, as the President just did in recent days, is not the way to get it done. It's not the way to reach across the aisle, because the Republicans do control the House of Representatives. The American people put those Republicans there, and I think they expect Republicans and Democrats to work together.
Well, Santita, that is a point. The voters did vote in President Obama, and they kept their majority in the Senate, but voters also decided that they wanted to have Republicans in control of the House of Representatives, and that says something.
You know, I don't see any appreciable difference between the Republicans and the Democrats, I have to tell you. And so what I'd like to do, I'd like to see a second party emerge in which the American people are protected, because these are cultural wars that the Democrats and Republicans really have us sign on to. The fact is, they have come together and they have given us a budget that gives us
as we look at the, I'm sorry to interrupt you, Santita, I just want to let our viewers know we're looking at the President and the First Lady and their daughters as they come off of Air Force One, having returned from Hawaii. Sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
Oh, no, that's quite all right. I think that we have to put the American people above partisanship. We all want that. Look, the fact is, the fastest growing population in America are the independents. Why? Because we need something else. What we have gotten from both parties has run us into the ditch. Now, you know what? The good news is we can get out of the ditch, but we have to be honest about the depth and the scope of the problem that we're in. Stop calling this the greatest recession since the Great Depression. It's a depression where I live, and let us come out of it together.
Justin, I'll give you
out of these wars. Let's do something better.
Justin, I'll give you the last word here as we look at the president. Do you think he's got it in him to provide the kind of leadership that you're calling for, and so many others?
I'm going to be hopeful. I'm going to be optimistic. I'm not encouraged by the no compromise ultimatum he just issued to Congress, but I'm going to keep hope alive, and I'm going to hope that the Republicans and the Democrats and the president has in them to take the moment, to take advantage of the moment, to take the political capital the American people gave him by electing him to a second term, and to use it to do something big and to reach across the aisle and to do things in a post-partisan way, not a hyper-partisan way.
Justin Sayfie, Santita Jackson. Good to talk to both of you as we watch the first family.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you as well,
and
your respective families, as we look at the first family getting onto Marine One, which takes them over to the White House.
Clearly to get back to work.